I cannot, and I mean I cannot imagine a better way to start my Thursday. My birthday is in about 90 minutes, and you know what I got as a fine gift, of the best gift I could ever ask for. Cam Skattebo dropping 31 points in my starting lineup, and that's not as surprising as Dallas Goedert also dropping 26 points in my lineup, starting Barkley, Scat, and Goedert, and I'm already sitting with 65, almost 66 points going into... This was perfect. I am so excited to move Cam Skattebo up my rest of season rankings, because obviously it's going to move my team up the power rankings on the site, which I like looking at. But let's go ahead and let's go game by game, or offense by offense, I mean. Starting off with the Philadelphia Eagles. Coming into this game, I had Jalen Hurts ranked as my quarterback 2 rest of season. Now, obviously, I usually have Lamar Jackson ranked as our QB2 rest of season, but Lamar with the hamstring injury, I was sitting here going, oh, okay, well, realistically, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts over Lamar, just given the fact that at least Hurts is healthy. Jalen Hurts in this game, obviously, you can see all the viral tweets, all the viral clips of Jalen Hurts missing wide receivers deep downfield. I know people like making jokes that Jalen Hurts is a fullback playing quarterback, blah, blah, blah. But realistically, Jalen Hurts does give you a really nice floor and ceiling combo in fantasy. Like, you can go through and look at this. This year, he's averaged 20.76 fantasy points per game. The year prior, he was at 21. The year before that, he was at 21. The year before that, he was at 25. So realistically, Jalen Hurts is just stupid consistent. Even if you don't love him from a real life perspective, he comes through with another rushing touchdown in this game. So Jalen Hurts, still a top level quarterback in fantasy. Realistically, now that we're a week closer to Lamar returning from the hamstring, I'll probably move Lamar back to being my QB2. But Jalen Hurts still remains an elite level quarterback rest of season in 4-point passing touchdown formats, where quarterback rushing is massive. Now, let me go over and let's look at the running backs now. I can imagine how my day would have been better today, right? If I got to start Cam Skattebo and Saquon Barkley went off at the same time, that would have been a little bit better. But I'll sacrifice Saquon Barkley for my glorious king, Scat Attack. With Barkley, you have 12 carries, 58 rushing yards. Of course, Jalen Hurts gets the rushing touchdown, which just freaking kills us. So here's the thing with Saquon Barkley last season to this season, because we can't even see this going into this game, right? And I'm dealing with this as a Saquon Barkley owner myself. Now, luckily, it looks like I'm going to be 5-1 after this week, and it's been without Saquon Barkley giving us the big performances, because Saquon coming into this game has not had a single game with 20 fantasy points. And obviously, Saquon doesn't give you 20 fantasy points in this contest either. But here's the big issue with Barkley. Up until this point, it hasn't been so much workload related. Like, you look at the first month of the year and he was averaging about 20 carries a game. And also, if you look at the target volume, he's actually seeing more targets this season than he did last year. But the issue with Saquon Barkley and why we've seen him fall from 22 points per game down to 16 points per game leading into this contest is the big plays just simply haven't been there. Like, the efficiency is not there. Like, you can go back to last season and see that Saquon Barkley had 4.8 yards per attempt in comparison to this season here at 3.2. Now, that's not including the game that we just saw today from Barkley, where obviously the efficiency looked a little bit better, but we didn't get a 50-yard rushing touchdown with Barkley in this game. So it is just frustrating to see this continued trend. And if the Eagles are going to be losing games, like, Saquon Barkley goes down the rankings. I mean, he's getting some involvement as a receiver, but it's not to the level of Devon Achane. So whether you want to blame the offensive line, whether you want to blame the offense, whether you want to blame Saquon Barkley himself, I had already moved Saquon Barkley down to running back 8 in our rest of season rankings. He had been in the same tier as Achane, James Cook, and Josh Jacobs for me rest of season. Jacobs is the running back. He was the running back 2 on my team. I had already moved him ahead of Barkley. But realistically, I think Saquon Barkley at this point looks to be a lot closer in the tier of like Kyron Williams, Breece Hall, Ashton Jeanty, Bucky Irving, Obviously, Bucky, points per game wise, going to be a lot higher, but he's injured. So he's going to be lower in our rest of season ranks. So realistically, I'm going to just keep Saquon Barkley at RB8. Like, I have him on my team. If I was offered Kyron, if I was offered Ginty, if I was offered Bucky, I'd probably reject it. But like, I can't look you in the eyes and tell you that Devon Achane and James Cook, Josh Jacobs are in the same tier as Saquon Barkley, with Saquon Barkley dropping to 16.1 points per game. Then going over and looking at the receivers. We'll get to Dallas Goedert in just 1 second, but let's look at the wide receivers. This was the perfect setup for A.J. Brown. This was the perfect setup for Devonta Smith. Typically, these wide receivers have the scapegoat that, oh, the Eagles are too good. Oh, they can just run it over and over and over again. That wasn't the case. The Philadelphia Eagles trailed this game from the very beginning of this. You can look, every single quarter in today's game, the New York Giants outscored Philadelphia. Maybe Philly had a lead for 3 minutes in this game, but it was the Giants the entire way. Philly was having to throw the ball. You had a total of like 40 dropbacks for Hurts, or 40 combined rushing attempts and passing attempts. Obviously, we're not going to include all those as true dropbacks, but regardless, about 40 dropbacks for Hurts. And A.J. Brown comes away with 14 fantasy points. Devonta Smith comes away with 8.9 points, mainly because Dallas Goedert cucks him. But if we're looking at this going into the future, like, now we can see the scenario in which the Eagles trail the game the entire time, or the Eagles are winning the game the entire time. And either way, it doesn't appear that A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are really moving the needle. Like, I had been reluctant to do this. Y'all know I had made my most drafted player in underdog drafts this year, Quentin Johnston. So I wanted to be a little bit safe with how we were ranking the big Q, just because I don't want my bias to bleed into these rankings. But at this point, I would rather have Quentin Johnston over A.J. Brown. Like, can we go ahead and can we look at the stat line that we have with A.J. Brown at the moment? A.J. Brown coming into this game had one performance with more than 10 fantasy points. By week, he had been the wide receiver 100, 66, 4, 91, 48. You go back and you look at last season. Last season, A.J. Brown in the second half of the year was also very disappointing. Like, in week 17, 12.6 points. He had a strong week 15, strong week 16, but then also 11.6, 8.3. Like, the A.J. Brown fall off has actually been a continued trend that we are now really getting to see. So for me, at some point, you just got to go through and you have to make the adjustment. You have to throw in the towel. I know A.J. Brown was a round 2 pick in your fantasy draft, but if he's averaging 8.9 points per game and we're in week 6, I have DK Metcalf on my own team. If I were offered if I were offered A.J. Brown for Metcalf, I'd probably decline it, especially with Metcalf already going through his bye. I'd probably rather have Pittman over A.J. Brown as well at this point. Pittman's averaging 15.5 points per game in comparison to A.J. Brown at 8.9. So I know this is one of the better games that we've had from A.J. Brown so far this season. But realistically speaking, this was the game in which he was supposed to have the blow up. How many games are you going to get 33 pass attempts from Jalen Hurts? I don't know. So I am taking this as a bad thing for A.J. Brown. I'm taking this as a bad thing for Devonta Smith as well. I have Stephon Diggs on my own team. If I was offered Smith for Stephon Diggs right now, I'd reject. I would rather have Mike Evans over Devonta Smith rest of season 2. So I'm going to move Devonta Smith down to wide receiver 31. A.J. Brown, wide receiver 25. And going over to tight end, I got to put some respect in Dallas Goedert's name now. Again, he was in my starting lineup, praised to the fantasy gods. Like, oh my. Realistically, I threw Dallas Goedert in there. I was hoping I was going to get 8 points. If you told me before this game, like, oh, Dallas Goedert, Mason, you can lock in 8 fantasy points right now and live to see another, I would have taken it. I'd been like, oh, 8 points. You're going to give me 5 receptions for 30 receiving yards? Check. Yes, I'll cash that in. But we get 26 points. He has 11 targets, 9 receptions, 110 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. Every single time they get to the goal line, they go, okay, well, we're either punching it in with Jalen Hurts or we're going to just scheme Dallas Goedert an easy touchdown. So I have to move Goedert up our rankings. I previously had Dallas Goedert at tight end 12, but with him averaging 13.1 points per game, I would rather have Dallas Goedert than Hunter Henry. I'd rather have him over Kyle Pitts. I'd rather have him over Kelsey. Maybe I'm overreacting here, but if I was offered Dalton Kincaid for Goedert, I'd probably reject it. Now, don't get me wrong. I have Dallas Goedert. I'm not crazy. I would sell him for Tucker Kraft. I'd sell him for Kittle. I'd sell him for Laporta in a heartbeat. So I'll move Goedert up to the very top of B tier, but I'm not going to move him into A tier. And yeah, I think that should be it for the Eagles. And let's go ahead and let's move over to the Giants. But as I pull up this Giants game, I will stall by thanking everybody. I checked the numbers, and I don't know if it's because we said it was our birthday tomorrow and begged for a birthday present or something. Regardless, a ton of y'all took advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy today, even more than usual. I really appreciate that. I will say it's not too late if you wanted to take advantage of that offer on Underdog. They're still running the biggest promo that they've ever done. I've been with them for 5 years. They've been the only sponsor of this channel. And this is the biggest thing they've ever done. Play $5, you get $100 added to your account with code FLOCK. And on top of that, you'll get free question vouchers that you can ask fantasy questions in the live streams that I'm doing every single day. And on top of that, you'll get a free pick on Underdog Fantasy as well. I haven't checked what it is yet, but it's going to be something like high or lower Dak Prescott, half a total yard. I don't know the exact player. But yeah, Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. You can find that link in the description as well as the comment section. Code FLOCK will get you the $100 added to your account. And on top of that, you will get free questions that you can ask in the live streams and a free pick as well. Now let's move over to the Giants offense now that we got this pulled up. So looking at the Giants, I owe y'all an apology. Once Malik Neighbors went down for the season, I looked at Jackson Dart and went, you know what? I really don't know what the upside is. Of course, Jackson Dart's going to have a lot of rushing upside, but realistically speaking, the offense is going to be so bad to the point where I don't want to start Jackson Dart just for the rushing. Well, that may have been the dumbest thing I've ever said because frankly, I didn't realize how good of a quarterback Jackson Dart is. So again, I told a lot of people, I looked at their teams and went, oh, you have Jackson Dart? Man, I would drop Jackson Dart and I would pick up Trevor Lawrence. What the hell was I smoking? Like Jackson Dart, legit needle moving quarterback, both in real life as well as fantasy. I think at this point, I mean, I would go through, and even if Wandale Robinson and Little Jordan Humphrey are your two top weapons with no Darius Slayton and no Malik Neighbors, like this ranking of Jackson Dart is laughable. At this point, I would go ahead and with this type of consistent rushing upside that we are getting with Dart, I would move him ahead of Kyler in our rankings. I would consider cutting. I'm not going to put him ahead of Purdy just because, again, realistically, like we think just 2 weeks from now, this dude's top weapons are freaking Darius Slayton and Wandale Robinson. 2 weeks from now, Purdy's going to be slinging it to Kittle, Jennings, Pearsall, possibly a month from now, Ayuk. So I'm going to move Jackson Dart into the range where he is very much a viable quarterback based off matchups. And if we get one more performance like this, I would be completely fine jumping him up into the A tier of quarterbacks. I'm going to have him in the C tier just because, again, there is a little bit of randomness in a Thursday night game that you're against division rivals. You really have no tape on Dart. We saw him make a lot of mistakes with the New Orleans Saints game last week as well. But if we go through and we actually look at the rushing stat line that we've had from Dart, and these are the expert average ranks on the site. Don't scream at me for these being my ranks. But we look at Dart. This was his first performance with 20 fantasy points, right? He comes through, he gives you not even 200 passing yards, but obviously the rushing production's insane. So I don't want to overstate like exactly how good Dart is for fantasy purposes. I will say he's had over 50 rushing yards every single game. This was his first game with 20 fantasy points or more, but he is 100% in the mix, even without Malik Neighbors to be a quarterback that you can play in fantasy. And obviously, once Neighbors is back next season, the sky's the limit for Dart. I have to go to my dynasty rankings on the site, and I have to move him up even higher. Now, this is what I've been waiting for, and this is what I've been excited for. And I'm going to be fully honest with y'all, okay? Okay, so obviously I drafted Cam Skattebo. Excited about Scat. We can go through the positives. In college, phenomenal receiving back, size to be a 3-down player, and limited competition in the New York Giants backfield, which is why I drafted him on my own team. But once Tracy was coming back today, I was sitting here going, I don't know if they're going to keep using him as a bell cow. I don't know if Tracy's going to turn this into a committee. And I threw Cam Skattebo on my trade block to see if anybody was going to offer me anything good. I think we also went out and sent some offers. I offered Cam Skattebo and Stephon Diggs, I want to say, for Drake London before this game. And I think I probably sent out even more offers than that. Thank God the only people that are dumber than I am are the people that I am playing fantasy football against that rejected my offers. So I still have Cam Skattebo on my team. I put him in my lineup and we banked those 30 points. 19 carries, 98 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. There is no way in hell that after this game, they go through and they look at their running back room and decide to implement Tracy or Singletary anymore. I know Singletary gets some, it's at the very end of the game in garbage time. Who freaking cares, right? This is Skattebo's backfield. He's the 3-down running back. I will say the one thing that I'm a little bit sad about as a Skattebo owner is Jackson Dart's good enough running the football himself that we don't have the same type of target volume that you had when Russ was under center. Like, obviously you like Dart being the quarterback because the overall offense is better. Defenses have to play them a little bit differently. But in terms of like when Russ was there and Russ wasn't going to be taking off and running the ball 13 times himself, he was just going to dump it off more when the pocket collapsed to the running back out of the backfield, at least more so than what Jackson Dart's been doing up until this point. So I really wish I could come through and say like, oh yeah, like Cam Skattebo, we can just pencil in 20 plus opportunities every single week and it's a guarantee. But because the receiving involvement's not to the same level that it was with Russ, it's a little bit tougher to get there. Now I will say, you go through and you look at what he's done since he's taken over as the starting running back. This is 3 straight weeks where he's had 27 opportunities, 22 opportunities. And now this past week, you're sitting here with a total of 21. So he's had 20 opportunities every game over the past 3. Realistically, I have Travis Etienne on my own fantasy team, and I would much prefer Cam Skattebo at this point. Like, here's the thing we got to ask, and I don't want to overreact because obviously I'm very excited about having the 30 points on my team. I think we can safely move Cam Skattebo at the very minimum to being at the very top of D tier. He was only like 1 spot below this. I just know myself, I would rather have him over Travis Etienne at this point. But can y'all please spam the chat for me? Who would y'all rather have rest of season? Like, y'all know I'm notoriously a Derrick Henry hater. We've been against Derrick Henry for, this is our 3rd season now. 2 years back, it worked out. He got injured. Last year, he embarrassed me in front of the entire world. This year, it looks like it's not working out. Would y'all rather have Cam Skattebo, or would you rather have Derrick Henry rest of season? Let me know if I'm losing my mind here. We got Scat, Henry, Scat. Scat, Henry. Scat, Henry, Scat. People saying Etienne higher. Etienne's not catching the ball and he's getting squeezed for goal line opportunities. I'm going to sleep on it. There's a chance we move Cam Scat to be an A-tier running back, but I don't necessarily know exactly how good we can project this Giants offense to be going to. I don't know if they're going to be out here winning games this easily. I would still expect the Giants to have a losing record at the end of this season. So I don't know if the game environment is going to be as good for Cam Skattebo as what it just was. And then obviously Devin Singletary, Tyron Tracy. You'd rather have Tracy, but he's nothing more than a committee running back. Let me see where I had him in my rest of season ranks. I had Tyron Tracy, RB 45. Yeah, I'll leave him there. Maybe I'd rather have Pacheco over Tracy after this game, but who cares? Now, let's go over to the wide receiver position. So I know we talked about this in the live stream before the game. Lil Jordan Humphrey, I used to see whenever I went to UT. I believe I had a class with Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like, I used to see Lil Jordan Humphrey a lot. But don't pick him up. I said, like, oh, yeah, he has no upside whatsoever. He gets activated from practice squad. Obviously, I'm rooting for our guy here, but he leads the team in targets, and it just simply doesn't matter. Now, looking at what we have with Wandale Robinson. Sessom says, no way. I had classes with multiple UT students. I had classes with, y'all know Jordan Whittington, that plays for the Rams now, and Colin Johnson, he's bounced around practice squads. He made a couple plays in Jacksonville. But anyway, Wandale Robinson's the only wide receiver here that's viable. Wandale gives you the big receiving touchdown. I was actually in the call with all the creators in the Flock League when that happened, and you could see Danny going absolutely nuts. And I think at this point, like, it was safe to move Wandale Robinson to the very top of G tier at the very minimum. Like, realistically, with Wandale, I would actually move him in the same tier as... Ooh, I did not mean to do that. What the heck just happened there? We're going to have to back out of that and get back in, because that was weird. But let's move back over to this. But yeah, I would move Wandale Robinson to the very top of G tier. And honestly, possibly into F as well. I think we'd move Keenan Allen above. But I think Wandale Robinson's in the same tier with Jordan Addison, Ricky Pearsall, T. Higgins, Godwin, Terry, DJ Moore, Jamison Williams. Because even when Darius Slayton comes back into this offense, realistically, like, Wandale Robinson's going to be the wide receiver one. Darius Slayton profiles to be a deep threat, where Wandale Robinson profiles to be the target hog. So I would opt to go with Wandale here. And I think he is a viable flex play. Now, am I going to sit here and try to convince you that you should be excited to get him in? No, but he's viable if you needed him. But I don't think we have anything else with this. Let me see, after I moved up Skattebo a bit in these rankings and moved up Goedert, did it impact my ranking on the My Teams page on the site? I have the second most valuable team in the league, according to the league analyzer. With my updated ranks, we are right behind Sal here, who has the best. He has CMC and JT, so it's going to be tough to compete with him. But yeah, now our team, we have Allen at quarterback. Running back, I have Jacobs, Barkley, Scat, Etienne, Pollard, Chubb. Wide receiver, Metcalf, Diggs, Higgins, Judy, and then tight end Dallas Goedert, TJ Hawkinson. Feeling real good. Looking to be 5-1 after Scat and Goedert blew up for us. And then honestly, in week 6 and week 7, I have the easiest opponents in the league. So there's a very realistic chance that I start this year off 7-1, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and let the fantasy gods strike us down. But I think that should be it. Obviously, you can link your league with flockfantasy.com for free, so you can see where you stack up in your power rankings. Just go here to the My Teams page. You can link it with Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo. Sleeper, just copy and paste your league ID here. Stupid simple. Hit submit. It'll link it. Yahoo, just hit submit. Take you to Yahoo. You log in. They send us your leagues. Perfect. You're good to go. And once you link once, it automatically updates for you. You never have to do it again. ESPN's the one that takes a little bit longer. I'm sorry. We made it as easy as we can. Use a desktop, use a browser other than Safari, sign into ESPN on one window, sign into flockfantasy.com on the other, install the browser extension, hit sync, and it will pull your ESPN league into flockfantasy.com, and then it'll automatically update, so you never have to worry about it again. You can access it from any device. While we're on the site, I do want to remind y'all, I just ordered 2,500 hats. They are getting here next week. Okay. This was the best year we've ever had on YouTube, the best year that we've ever had on the site. I wanted to do anything I could to find a way to get back to y'all. So we put out this. So I bought 2,500 hats myself. I already paid for them all. I'm going to pay for all the shipping myself. I'm going to ship them myself with my fiance. They're about to all be sitting in our living room, and I would love to get rid of them. So if you are a paid member of the site, for the love of God, go and fill out this Google form and claim your free hat. Essentially just select which one you want, and then we'll go ahead and we will ship you the one that you want, or we'll send you your second option or your third option, dependent on the list of priority you're at. Whenever I checked this morning, we were up to 1,300 responses on the free merch giveaway, but we have 2,500 pieces of merch to send. But let me see if there's anything else. One other thing, of course, my birthday is in about 1 hour. So if you want to get me a birthday present, take advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy. You can find that link in the description in the live chat. We've had more people sign up to Underdog over the past 2 weeks with code FLOCK than we pretty much have had in the 5 years I've been working with them. And that's because they're doing the best offer we've ever seen. After you sign up with code FLOCK, you're going to get $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, you'll get free questions that you can ask us in the live streams. And I'm going to be streaming every single day until Christmas, answering those fantasy questions. And you'll get a free pick. It's going to be something like Dak Prescott, higher or lower, half a total yard for the Sunday night game as well. And again, Underdog is available in almost every state. Links in the description, links in the comment section. Be the best birthday present you could ever get me. But I appreciate you. Again, if you're a paid member of the site, for the love of God, go fill out that Google form, because the fiance is already going to be really upset when she realizes that she has to box 2,500 hats with me. She's going to be even more upset if they sit around in our living room for the next year. I'm paying for shipping. I already paid for all the hats. I've spent more money doing this than I'm going to ever spend on anything in my entire life. Probably up until this point. But next year, hopefully it's even bigger. But I appreciate y'all. And I really hope I get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night on my birthday.